Howdy. LangSmith just released their new AI-powered agent builder platform. It allows you to write a prompt and get an AI automation out of it. At about the same time, n8n, which is a very mature automation platform, also has a similar feature where you can type in a prompt and you get an automation out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to build the same agent in both platforms using only an AI prompt, and we're going to see which one works better and has the least amount of bugs, amongst other things, easy to use, all that good stuff. The AI agent that we're going to build is going to be really simple. We're going to have an imaginary contact form on our website that customers can send messages to us, and when we get that message via webhook, we're going to parse the sentiment. Are they angry? Is it urgent? Is it just a normal inquiry? We're going to parse whether it should go to sales or customer service, using obviously AI for all of this. The AI is also going to summarize it, give us a confidence level of all the categorization that it did, and then based off of the urgency and the department, it'll either send it to our emergency Slack channel, either sales or customer service, or it'll send it to a general Google Sheet, sales or customer service, and that will let us triage any messages that we get. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. We're really not going to make the most use of like sub-agents and a lot of crazy stuff, but I think it'll exhibit us building just a basic automation in both systems and see what happens. So let's get into it.
Okay, so first we're going to try n8n. So n8n is obviously just awesome. I've built plenty of production systems on it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I'm of course a programmer, so I really like writing things in code, but this is just, it's a great tool. Like, nothing to say about it. It's just a great tool. So we have a new workspace here, and we're going to start from scratch. And, I'm sure most of us have built this thing step at a time, but now we've got the Build with AI button. Isn't that cool? Hopefully we have enough credits to build this test system, because quite honestly, the Build with AI feature is not something that I use every day, so I had to create a new account just to try this out. So we're just going to copy paste our entire prompt into there. We're going to be using the same prompt for both, and let's see what it does. Here we go. Okay, looks like it is complete. So let's take a quick look at what it did. So looks like it did our instructions pretty well from the contact web form. Yep, contact web form. We'll have to see what the data shape is. And then this goes into a workflow configuration. Here we go. So here's our message. So original message, sender name, sender email, company, timestamp. So there's all the data that we're expecting. Kind of weird that it has to be in a separate node, but it is mapping those fields, so that's fine. And then we do have an AI agent with a nice prompt. Looks like it nailed the prompt pretty good. Cool. We'll go ahead and move on from that. Looks like we have a structured output, which does match what we told it over here in our, yep, that looks good. All right, so it did that right. Obviously, chat model, route, if it's a hot lead, urgent customer, looks good. Yep, all that looks good. And then we are escalating to different channels, or dropping into Google Sheets. So this is also, by the way, a very easy automation to get started with. If you've never built an automation before, this could save your team a ton of time. So definitely worth looking into. This isn't groundbreaking, definitely, but there you have it. There's a pretty easy thing to do. And in this case, this is a great example, actually, where we're not letting the AI agent make tool call decisions on its own. That is obviously something that's really cool, but what I've found you get way less hallucinations is if we can make a more deterministic piece of data. In this case, if we look over at our original node, we can say intent, which is like a hard kind of enum piece of data that the agent can spit out, like sales prospect, right? So now we have a hard value that we could then pass to a simple route decision maker. In code, it would be an if statement, right? Or a switch statement. And what that allows us to do is instead of hoping that the tool calls and the agent analyzing, oh, well, if it's a hot lead, then I'm going to call the Slack tool. That's cool. Definitely some times where you want to do that. But if you can make a deterministic piece of data and then use an old-fashioned, engineering code trick like a switch statement in code or something like a route in n8n, and then that has zero chance of hallucinating, and that's just going to send it to the right tool. So all in all, this was pretty good. It was pretty fast. I'd say I did the whole thing in under 5 minutes. So let's see how LangSmith does next. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and paste it into LangSmith Agent Builder. So one thing that's a little bit different, not a huge deal, but depending on your use case, is you do have to provide your own Anthropic key. So I already entered that in. With n8n, we didn't have to enter any key. We did have a monthly credit allowance. So if you're doing a lot of these, I'm sure this actually might be a benefit, but you do have to actually enter in your own key, and you're paying for the AI credits. So just something to consider. Same exact prompt as we had before. Let's take a look. Looks like it pasted it in fine. We're going to go ahead and just use Sonnet. It's the default. n8n didn't say which one they were using as their backing LLM, so who knows? Seemed like it did a good job, so whatever they're using, it worked. But we know for sure we're using Sonnet here. Let's go ahead and send it, and let's see what it does. All right, so it has done a little bit of stuff so far here. Searching for tools. It does say, let's see here, they do have tools for Google Sheets and Slack, but there is no webhook trigger, so that's going to be a little difficult. We're going to have to build something probably to make that happen. And let's see, it has a few questions for me, so we'll just quickly go ahead and do this. What are the Slack channel IDs? Let's just do test. Okay, so here's something nice that n8n did not do, is they didn't ask us what kind of data we wanted. So it did a pretty good job at guessing, but if your contact form was something out of the ordinary, this is something that could be better for you. So we're going to go ahead and do this one. Seems fine. All right, let's see what it can build with that information. Okay, so we're telling the agent itself where to route, kind of like what I was talking about with n8n. This is more of your traditional AI agent kind of mechanism where the agent, the LLM itself, actually determines where to go next. So instead of using a traditional hard-coded programming idiom, such as like a switch statement, where if hot lead, then push it to the sales Slack channel, we're actually having the agent decide which tool to select. Not a huge deal. Agents have gotten way better. LLMs have gotten way better. So this is way less of an issue than it used to be. But if you're worried about hallucinations, this is not the more solid way to do it. So just a thought. Definitely not a problem though. Right, so big problem, big problem is there is no native webhook trigger. So we're gonna have to figure that out. I don't know what triggers are available. There's a schedule, an email, and a Slack. Maybe there's something else. What triggers do you have? Because when we click into here, we don't have an immediate list. Okay, not super useful, so we'll have to figure that out. But let's just go ahead and move on to the rest of this. So we do have instructions, we do have the agent, and the agent, like I said, traditional, it's something, this is cutting edge, of course, but the LLM itself is figuring out where to send stuff. So the agent itself has a very good prompt. Yep, nothing wrong with that. Good prompt. We always have important guidelines, edge cases, and executions. That looks awesome. Slack channel MCP, and we have a Google Sheets MCP, so that's correct. I don't know what's going on here. There's not really much I can click on. All right, so first things first, looks like one of the few triggers available. This is a new tool, so I'm not expecting them to have everything available, but we were able to connect a Gmail account. So when we send an email to that account, we should be able to trigger the agent. So let's see how that works. Okay, I'll be completely honest. I've been messing with this for a few minutes. I have paused the trigger, and I've read the little tooltips. I can't figure out how to edit these. It's not obvious. I've clicked on every button except the trash button, and I don't know how to edit it. Okay, so I've been playing around with this for quite a while at this point, and the only thing I can find to change settings is in our actual agents MD. I can change spreadsheet IDs in the document as well as our test Slack channels, but I can't find anywhere else to do it. The other JSONs are just very generic LangChain tool MPC servers or MCP servers. So let's see if this works. I'm going to send an email to this email address that should, let's see. Cool. Looks like it worked. And there we go. We have our existing customer. Because it was urgent, it got sent to the right thing. So let's now go ahead and look at the same thing back on n8n. All right, webhook sent. Let's see what happens. It's analyzing, routing decision. All right, one little change back and forth with the AI, and seems like it worked. Let's check our Slack channel, and there we go. Hot lead alert, all the good stuff. Cool. So what had happened was there was a case problem here. So I guess the LLM was doing hot lead in this instance in all caps, and as it was passing through, it was becoming lowercase, which means it never left the route. Again, this is not a tutorial on how to build an n8n because there's a lot of error catching here that we're not doing, but with one little change, we do have a very clear path to success here. And routing is working correctly. So I think we'll go ahead and just call it good there.
All right, that was pretty interesting. Honestly, didn't go the way I thought it would either. What we saw first was n8n's maturity coming through, that even though their AI agent builder system is in beta and brand new, with that prompt, it was able to give us a very good working system, pretty much on the first try. Did have to do one bug fix, and once we got all the auth and all the API keys and everything set up, it actually worked really, really well. So that was really awesome. Even though the LangChain tooling is really good, this new agent builder is still in beta, and you can kind of see that there's a few things missing from it. The first thing we ran into is they don't have a API or webhook trigger, which was kind of a bummer. We had to use a email trigger, which I really didn't want to use for this project, but if it does fit your goals, that's obviously something that did work pretty well. We did have some trouble getting an actual trigger to fire when I sent an email to that address. I'll have to revisit that here in the future. The other thing I wasn't a huge fan of on the LangSmith agent builder was it seems like configuration was all held in that MD file, which I didn't really like. Obviously it worked, but as an old school programmer, I'd rather have configs that I can find pretty easily. Even though the agent builder is in beta, LangSmith does give you some really cool observability tooling, which is kind of what they're known for. And from a production standpoint, once you do have an agent that you like and it works really well, there's a very easy path to code because you can export that LangSmith agent into LangChain code and deploy that, and now you have a real production system. So that, once they get the bugs figured out, is really the key element of what the LangChain ecosystem is offering. If you have to build an automation today, I would probably recommend n8n still, or code out your own solution in LangChain or any other agent framework. We'll be watching LangSmith's agent builder really closely, but as of right this second, I probably wouldn't recommend it for production use. If you enjoyed this, please let me know so I know to make more videos like this. Thanks and have a good one.